Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I'm your host, Max Keller Halls, and today I'm going to be doing a solo review for the movie Trap. The M Night Shyamalan thriller about a serial killer taking his daughter to a concert and it ultimately backfiring. A bunch of cops swarm the building and he has to figure out a way to get out of the situation. Alright, I'm going to say this. When it comes to M Night Shyamalan, it's very hit or miss. I love The Sixth Sense. It's a really good film. I like Unbreakable. I really enjoyed A Knock at the Cabin. And those are pretty much the ones I do enjoy. Other than that, I still won't forgive him for Avatar. Kind of butchered that one. And sometimes his overall movies can be a bit silly in, premise and execution. So when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, oh my god, this is the greatest premise I've seen for a film in a long time. Just a pure and simple one movie premise where it's a big what if movie. What if you had this serial killer at a Taylor Swift concert, pretty much? And how would he get out of the situation? For the most part, that's what the movie is about. Yeah, it's a downright very Hitchcock movie premise. I want to see more movies like this where it's just a very simple premise going in, and you just go with that premise and you try to execute it as best as you can. I know that's what every movie should be, but a lot recently have just been these, either lore movies or franchise picks where it's just okay, this one is just for the middle of a trilogy, so we can't do too much. No, this film, what I appreciate about it is that it just goes for it. We're just going to try everything in the book and come up with some really clever, circumstances. What really helps in this film is that Josh Hartnett, the main guy, Cooper, steals the show. He is incredible. He plays this awkward white dad persona so well. I don't want to say it took me out of the movie in a bad way. It just gave me oh my god, I know so many people like that just from at work in general. It was Jesus, man, he's nailing this awkward dad role. Kind of intentionally being cringe to have fun with his daughter. I enjoyed that element of the film. But what really makes the performance so much fun is when he has to mix those two roles, where he has to put on this quiet, really awkward dad persona, but you can tell, inside he's just, seething in frustration because he's fuck, how did I get into this situation? And, I love the different ways in the film they try to, he tries to get out of the situation because he's maybe I'll try this way. And because he has to keep up this dad persona, he can't do, there's a clear exit to the backstage that he can get, but because his daughter is there, he wants to keep up the facade of still being a good dad. And so she's why would we go down there? Are you okay? He's yeah, I just thought we'd have fun. That's what I like about this film, is just the dichotomy of the character. Just 1 minute he has to be really upstanding dad, next minute psycho killer. I just enjoyed that. And Josh Hartnett just really brought it in this movie. This is his movie. As much as it is Shyamalan's film, this is Josh Hartnett's film. He's just having fun. And you can really tell that a lot of people behind the scenes are having fun. And another thing I really appreciate about this film is that, unlike a lot of movies, and this is usually a big pet peeve of mine in general with movies, whenever they create their own media and whatever original stuff that's in world to whatever film this is, or whatever media it is, say The Boys, whenever they parody superhero films and stuff like that, it's really obvious dialogue. You got to make it look more like a film. And it's just why would anybody in their right mind watch this? It makes no sense. What I like about this film is that the music by Salika Shyamalan, I like the music. I think it's not for everybody. It's very pop. But it did put me in the mood of oh no, I can buy that that a vast group of people would listen to this kind of music and would sell out of concert. That makes sense to me. I'm okay, it is nepotism, but honestly, I don't have that big of a problem with nepotism. If he's just yeah, I want to put my daughter in things. If he's outright in front with it, which he always has been, and he made a production company so that him and his daughters can work on stuff together. So you know what? It's not some bigwig Hollywood producer doing this thing. And to be fair, Salika does have talent. She does have a bigger role than what the trailers lead you to believe. And I think she really brings it. I was oh wow, she's doing a pretty good job of like selling like the emotion behind this character. Like I liked her in this film, and I want to see her do more things, maybe outside of Shyamalan himself. But yeah, no, I like that they made a realistic world of like, oh no, like I can believe this music would be listened to by this many people, and it's music that sounds modern enough today. Because that's another thing I have a problem with is whenever like we get modern day films and they're going for music styles that are like really outdated or something that was from more when the director was a kid. So it's just like no one listens to that today, no, unless they're like really like alternative. Like I just don't buy it. This film, I'm like, I buy it. Like this makes sense. And for the most part, that's kind of my positive. I'm gonna go into a mixed positive, mixed negative point that I want to make. It being a Shyamalan movie, there is some really, really awkward line delivery and some lines that just make no sense. And I'm like, no one talks like that. And it's not even coming out of like the main character's mouth, where you can kind of make the argument of like, one, he's being like an awkward dad, and two, he's a serial killer, so he doesn't really understand emotion. I'm talking about just the everyday people. They just say stuff where I'm like, no one says that. Like, it's just. But at the same time, it makes the movie fun in a way of like, this is ridiculous, this is silly, the whole premise is really fun. So it having this silly mood and these people saying like, why would they say that? Like, who says that? Like, adds to this element of like, oh no, I'm having a good time, I can laugh. It's a movie where it's hard to laugh with or laugh at. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna laugh with it because I think everything else with the film is really fun, and I think the actors for the most part do a good job selling their lines. There's another character in this film that I liked is the guy in the trailer you see who tells Josh Hartnett about the trap. That worker guy, he stole the show, and there's a little thing at the end that I thought was really funny that they did, because it was in the back of my head the entire time of like, I wonder what he thinks about this. Another problem I had with the film that's either going to make or break it for you is the leaps in logic that you have to believe of how he gets out of this situation. Like, they go for Hail Mary attempts in this film. Like, how does he get out of this situation? This. I'm like, really? He got out? How? How did he worm his way out of that situation right there? I'm not going to spoil anything about, like, just the overall plot. I'm just saying there's moments in this film where there's situations where I'm like, he should have been caught there. There's no way that he could just play that off as well as he did. And another thing I have a problem with this film is, like, just dumbass police officers in this film. Like, these are movie police. In that, like, they don't check people. They let people go if they act suspicious. There's just so many moments in this film where I'm like, why the fuck would a police officer give out crucial information on this really big sting operation to some random guy who fits the description? And stuff like that kind of breaks the film for me, where I'm like, okay, no, he should have been got there, and there. I don't care how smart or how calm and collected he is. It just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, like, especially at the end. I'm not saying anything. There's a moment at the end where I'm like, there's no way a police officer do that or let him do that. Like, again, no spoilers. You know, it being a Shyamalan film, there's a twist. I'll say this plot twist isn't as big as other plot twists in his other films. This one just more like ties up loose ends to a degree. So just don't go into this film thinking like once you get out of it, it's just going to change your entire perception of the film in a, oh my god, I never even thought of it that way. This one's more like, oh, okay, this makes more sense now. Like, why did they figure this out? And I'm being very vague for a good reason, because I admittedly really want people to go see this. I want to see Shyamalan have a good comeback. He's self-producing these films, and I always really appreciate artists and creatives going out there and doing their own thing. I would say go see this film. If you like the premise in the trailer, you're going to have a blast with this film. It's silly. It's fun. There's some really thrilling moments where I'm like, wow, the tension in this is really getting me. And in my opinion, I really like the shot composition for most of the part. I'm not a big fan of like putting someone directly in the middle of the frame. I can see why it works for this film a little bit. It's a little ick for me where I'm like, I don't like that. I mean, it's made to make you feel uncomfortable, but I just don't like that kind of shot composition. But there are some other shots in this film when you're in the concert. Like, I love the way they use the big TVs to like show the performance, and then you have the performer like on stage and just how small they are, and they really play with some really cool shots in the film with that. I think this was a really fun film, but it's not for everybody. You really have to get over a lot of big plot holes and contrivances and a lot of leaps in logic if you're going to enjoy this, and some really awkward dialogue. But in the long run, had a lot of fun with this movie, and I highly recommend it. So yeah, that's all I got to say about Trap. Go see it. If you like what I had to say about this video, hit that like button. If you want to see me do more solo reviews like this for just not so big budget, big name movies, like I want to do more small films like this, let me know. If you want to see more from us, if you want to see more videos and reviews and trailer reactions and hopefully more stuff in the future, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to our Patreon for $5 a month. You can listen to everything unedited. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I hope you all have a good day. Bye.